Welcome, everyone. My name is Juan Vela. I'm the Global Head of Market Strategy here at Meraki. Welcome to today's Meraki Quarterly. We're excited to share a lot of great updates for you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, first I'm going to give you a quick update on what's going on here at Meraki, give you some insights into what's driving our roadmap. Then we're going to hand it over to Jordan, who's going to give us some updates on what's going on with platform and ecosystem, followed by some product recaps from the product marketing team. We'll also touch on the community and give you some quick updates on what's going on there. And finally, we'll turn it over for questions. So hopefully we'll have some time throughout the session today. If you do have questions, please submit them through our Q&A chat tool, part of WebEx, and we'll respond to those as fast as we can. For those that we're not able to respond during our session today, we'll try to follow up with you and get you some responses. So a couple of quick points. Will this webinar be recorded? Of course it will be. It will be available on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to access the recording there. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, as I shared earlier, it'll be in the QA tab. Does this webinar offer free gear? Unfortunately, no. So if you want free gear, please tune into one of our many other opportunities for your opportunity to get one of those free pieces of equipment so you can get your hands on what that Meraki magic is all about. And as I shared, my name is Juan Vela. I lead the market strategy team here, which includes the product marketing function. This will probably be the last time you see me kicking these things off. We have a new head of product marketing that's joined us recently, and he'll be kicking these things off in the future. His name is Grant Shirk. I look forward to having him join this session in the future and having him lead our conversation. So thanks again for taking the time out of your busy day to spend with us. I hope you're able to pick up a few details about what's happening in the Meraki development program and get a sense for what's going on here over the last few months. As always, our focus is on taking complexity out of IT. And in this Meraki Quarterly, I'd like to highlight that as we look ahead to what's next in the workplace and in business, we see an increased need to simplify not just the deployment of technologies, but their convergence. It's through convergence of technologies like networking and location analytics that organizations like Bay State College can create a safe environment as students return to campus. The need to create elevated experiences is the driving force for many organizations and businesses, and it's what's helping drive our roadmap. As organizations get back to business, we're seeing an increased demand to help you evolve hybrid work and create safe environments for customers and students alike, and build smart spaces for everyone. So what we'll cover today are the recent examples of networking, intelligence, IoT, and security developments that are helping shape the future of workplace and the workforce experiences. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and look forward to seeing your questions throughout our session. Our platform and partners can help you simplify the convergence of technologies. Now I'm going to hand it over to Jordan Noonan to share some of the platform and ecosystem updates that we've been working on. So with that, Jordan, take it away.
Thanks, Juan. Honored to be here with all of you today to talk about what's going on with the cloud platform. So first of all, let's talk about scale. I was putting together this slide a couple days ago, and I got some feedback from a couple team members that, dude, nobody cares about our 3.2 million active networks worldwide. Nobody cares that we have 9.2 million Meraki devices. This sounds like, I believe the word, I think, Juan, it was you. I think it was gratuitous backslapping is what the feedback was. And you're right. I suspect none of you care about this, but the point I really want to drive home here is that this scale goes beyond bragging rights. We use the amount of devices and the huge access to data that our products pull in every day with the networks that we have deployed to get better, to get smarter over time. For example, we had a large customer that was having a VPN issue on our MXs where it was creating too many VPN tunnels globally. And we were able to go in there with our engineering team, fix the problem, diagnose it, root cause, and then apply that learning to all of our other customer networks who met the same criterion as that particular customer. So the point with the scale and the milestones that I'm pointing out here is that we're really continuing to build the gap between us and the next biggest cloud networking vendor. And what that means for our customers is that we're going to be able to get smarter, faster, and to continue to develop and optimize our services for our customers. So I just wanted to point out the trajectory of our growth is still really, really exciting. On the API front, we have a couple GA features that you may or may not be aware of, the biggest of which is probably global IPv6 support for APIs, so we're really excited about that. Additionally, for the GA features on APIs, we have the ability to query client overview for client information, as well as filtering client information, being able to pull application health over time from Meraki Insight, to deploy wireless profiles for MV cameras, and to configure camera audio detection for MV as well. For those of you who are currently involved with the programmability of the Meraki platform, these are some features that are available to you now. To give you some insight, I know this is a roadmap-free zone. This isn't exactly a roadmap, but we do have beta features available on the APIs. And I will actually post a link after my presentation here for those of you who are interested in our API beta program and becoming involved there. APIs imply programmability and flexibility of the Meraki platform, and that's something that you can do individually as an organization if you have the resources to develop bespoke solutions for your own problem sets. But most of our customers would prefer to just have a pre-made solution that any one of a number of ecosystem partners have already created. So the Meraki marketplace, which you can access at apps.meraki.io, continues to grow. We've added, I think, 29 marketplace applications since the last Meraki quarterly. So we're up to over 170 apps now across 30 solution categories and 500 use cases. This is really helping us to expand beyond the traditional use cases of network deployments and to start to really expand into some of the experience that Juan and others are going to talk about. Just a quick marketplace spotlight. Viana is an application from an organization called MELDCX, and they have a variety of products on Marketplace that enable you to conduct anonymous audience measurement, to understand kind of the demographics of your audience, to count people over time, and obviously this plugs into our smart camera infrastructure. We can also do traffic management for automatically detecting vehicles, license plate detection. And this is a really interesting one, SAMI for environments. This is the ability to really understand what surfaces need to be sanitized based on people motion over time. So helping your teams make sure that you have a safe physical environment for your staff and your employees. So check Viana out on Meraki app marketplace that's available today. Additionally, this is something that has been released a few months ago, but I thought it bear mentioning here. ServiceNow Connector, for those of you who use ServiceNow to kind of digitize your ticketing system and your process overview. This is a way to pull all that information from your Meraki networks into your ServiceNow system. So if you've got a lot of networks out there and you need to support kind of inbound ticket queuing and the whole kind of suite of what ServiceNow offers, you can now roll in your Meraki networks to that flow. So this has been really popular, especially with our managed service provider customers and partners. A key feature of the platform is we want to make manageability fantastic, not only from your web browser, but we want to have an equally delightful mobile experience. So we're trying to continue to advance the mobile application beyond just monitoring and visibility and really enable you to take action. So a couple of mobile features I want to announce. We've integrated documentation directly into the mobile app. So if you're trying to do some sleuthing and you want to look at documentation for a particular part or dashboard, no need to go to a different device. You can do it right from the mobile app. And we also now support port tagging on the mobile application. So I think the long-term goal, mobile, is to be able to have a very similar experience on your phone or the same experience on your phone as you would on your browser. So being able to increase that configurability. And then last but not least, the Meraki Instant Demo. This is an environment that is available on Meraki.com. This is an environment that allows you to get into a real infrastructure environment and play around with Meraki devices. I know a lot of you are current customers. My recommendation for when you would want to use something like this is if there's a product that you don't currently own and you want to get a feel for the management experience, what it's like to experience that on dashboard, go ahead and check out this environment. It's now available globally. So it's been in North America for about a quarter now. So it should be available now globally if you're joining us internationally. So I believe that's my last slide. And I think I'm passing it back off to Michael for an update on access.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah. We're just going to go over some of the new wireless enhancements that we've talked about over the last 3 months. And the first thing we want to talk about is an exclusive partnership where Apple devices can send additional information such as an operating system version, device model, and disassociation reason code to the Cisco AP before disconnecting. And this is allowing you to, as a network administrator, add an additional layer of visibility into your client disconnections. And this is going to be part of the 2.8.x firmware version, which I'll be talking about next. So that is our newest version. This is a release candidate for all Meraki MR products. And this is allowing you to get smarter, healthier, and simpler in your use cases for your access points. In addition to other updates in the firmware version, we've been working on for a few things in the last 3 months. One of them is going to be multi-VLAN support over mesh. And those Meraki APs will be supporting multiple VLANs with this new firmware version. Secondly, we're going to be talking about FIPS on the Meraki MR access points. And that's starting with this new update. That Federal Information Processing Standards, or we call it FIPS for short, are going to be used by the US government, and those are going to be supported on all Meraki Wi-Fi 6 access points. And this is going to allow that level of security to protect sensitive but unclassified information. So this is going to be very important if you really want to have that extra layer of security. Internet Protocol version 6 will be supported on those MR access points. And it comes along with the features like MR management over IPv6, IPv6 live tools, Layer 3 IPv6 firewall rules, Radius, LDAP, AD over IPv6, SNMP, and other Meraki health enhancements over IPv6. And lastly, here we want to talk in the wireless department about electronic shelf label integration. You're in a grocery store and you notice that the prices are a little off. What we can do now with Meraki MR access points is to deliver a simple integrated solution for those electronic shelf labels. If you're a customer that is interested in that, you can allow the MR access points to act as ESL gateways by leveraging the IoT radio in our AP control electronic shelf labels. That helps push price updates via the cloud. And we're working with SES Image OTAG, and that's one of our partners that has been helping work through this. Now I'm going to switch to switches. In addition to the firmware updates for our MR access points, the MS switches are also getting their firmware updates, and this is our 14X update that we're working on. This is now in release candidate, and it covers a lot of different things. We've talked a little bit about adaptive policy in the past. This is just absolutely one of those critical things that's really great about making that magic of Meraki. It allows you to have that connection when you have new users in certain areas, and you can give them protocols all the way down to the granular level, and only allow them to see files that they need to see, and really walls off your network. Secure Connect is also in this release candidate. This is an enhancement that pairs quite well with the Meraki MR access points, and it allows for the provisioning when directly connected. So you plug in your MR device into that MS switch stack, and it does an automatic configuration. This also covers group policy ACLs, and of course the authentications, both for critical and for failed. And this is over our VLAN or virtual LAN. And it enables you to both retain access for critical services and also to do some remediation for devices that may not be correctly configured. So this is both ensuring that your connections are on point, but also will help you troubleshoot quickly and more effectively when things don't go the way they're supposed to. Now, of course, one of the enhancements of that firmware is to reduce the amount of time it takes to provision these. With the MS390, which is the last of the switches that we have had in this, you are going to now see a decrease in the amount of time it takes to actually provision this switch and get your network up and running. We've cut it more than 50% from the last time, and that's for stacks of switches of 8 or fewer. I also want to call to attention an enhancement called SNMP. It's a big mouthful, but certainly this is now part of the MS390. It's been part of all the other switches within the Meraki lineup, but now this is an internet standard that is used for collecting and organizing information about managed devices on an IP network. And while we've had this on other switches, having it on the MS390 now, you can now see system status, port information, power over Ethernet utilization, for example. And you can also gather information from other connected devices such as MR access points, or perhaps a Cisco Catalyst or another connected neighboring device. Finally, within the MS390 enhancements for the firmware updates, that's going to be adding that enhanced radius accounting. This is just like classic MS products with the LLDP and CDP attributes, and this is going through our Cisco device sensor, adds and aids in granular profiling of endpoints. So you really get that enhanced visibility. You can go down to the granular level and understand your network at a very fine point. And that's going to do it for both the access wireless and access switches. I'm going to pass this on to Iris.
All right, thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone. This is Iris. I am the product marketing manager for Systems Manager, and today I will be introducing 3 awesome features with a focus on increasing admin efficiency. So the first feature is Unified SM Agent. So now we have made an architectural change to the agent design so that the SM agent is no longer network specific. So it will be way faster to apply changes across all orgs, and our users can access feature updates and bug fixes a lot faster. So now there is a key change to the enrollment flow. The network ID or enrollment string is required to enroll. And so to deploy the new version of the agent, there are 2 main methods. One, the end user will need to input network info into the agent when they enroll, or the admin can supply network information in command line or via group policy to enroll devices into the correct network. eSIM profile management. So before I go into the feature, I will quickly mention what eSIM is. eSIM just stands for embedded SIM. Essentially, the chip and its software come embedded inside the phone or the tablet, so it replaces the physical SIM card. And the SIM credentials, which are needed to sign on to your preferred carrier's cell phone network, are downloaded. So now with this new feature, our admins can programmatically assign eSIM profiles to Apple devices. And by supporting eSIM, our admins can actually activate or update cell phone network remotely without physically touching the device. So obviously this will improve your workforce agility and improve admins' control of the devices. Apply irreversible commands in bulk. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Admins can now apply commands such as unenroll, erase, and clear passcodes across a high volume of devices in just a few clicks. So this will, of course, increase admin efficiency, but with great power comes great responsibility. Since these actions are irreversible, when they're applied to more than 10 devices, there will be an extra step of confirmation required. All right, that's all from me. I will hand it over now to Imran to talk about updates from security and SD-WAN.
Iris, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever your time zone might be. Thanks for joining us. Iris, by the way, love the quote, with great power comes great responsibility. Something I always tell people that they do need to practice when using the dashboard. But I'm going to be taking you through a quick update on security and SD-WAN, what we've been up to in the WAN space. So we've been very busy, packed update here. So I'm going to just quickly summarize some of the focus areas we've been working on. SASE, as most of you know, has become the fastest growing buzzword in our industry, and we're really not short of them. For us, that of course begins with the MX appliances. I'm really excited to share some of the updates that we have here. Multi-cloud has been a big thing. Even before the pandemic, it's been something that organizations have been moving their workloads and applications to. It's been accelerated by the pandemic. Going to be sharing some cool updates here of our expanded multi-cloud portfolio. And finally, security has always been important, is important, will remain important. And there's a great update that we're going to be talking about that's going to make security professionals' lives a heck of a lot easier. Starting off, we have now actually enhanced our Meraki SASE building blocks, the MX appliances. We've introduced a whole range of MX appliances as well as NG cellular gateways that deliver agility. So you can very easily now have gigabit wired and wireless connectivity instantly provisioned using the Meraki dashboard. We now have that additional capacity. So really very, very cost efficient gigabit wired and wireless WAN and resiliency. So today, productivity directly correlates to resiliency and how much connectivity you have. So we're really now doubling down on the resiliency the portfolio offers you. So you have seamless failover with multiple WAN uplinks now, including dual SIM support on NG Cellular Gateway, and Schultz will talk about that a little bit later on. So here's what the brand new MX appliance lineup looks like that delivers cost-effective gigabit SD-WAN branch connectivity. So we have a brand new flagship small branch MX appliance. The MX75 has 1 gigabit per second firewall throughput, recommended use cases for small branch sites. And one thing that I do want to point out across the entire range that we're launching here is we've also introduced SFP connectivity across the range here. So you can now Take your fiber SFP port that you get from your service provider, plug it straight into the device without any need for any intermediary devices. Moving on, we've got MX85, 95, and 105, the rack mountable models suitable for small to large branches, and 123 firewall gigabit throughputs on those particular models. These are going to be orderable 6th of July, exactly 1 week from now, next week. We also were very, very hard at work on multi-cloud connectivity. So everyone knows we have connectivity to the major public cloud environments, but it's been a very, very long asked for feature and a request to be able to connect to private cloud environments. So I'm very pleased to say that we now have connectivity to extend that SD-WAN fabric, Meraki SD-WAN fabric, to private cloud environments. Next slide, please, Michael. So the way we're doing this is with our VMX portfolio. So what we can now do is take a VMX, a virtual MX appliance, and place that in a public or private cloud environment. The way we're doing it with a private cloud environment is you have a compute platform, and this will be a Cisco UCS device running NFVIS software, and then on that you can upload and run multiple VMXs. So that's great, but what does it actually do? Well, depending on your organization, it gives you massive scale. So each VMX running in a private data center can act as a head end to around 1,000 physical branch sites. And each compute platform, each Cisco UCS box, in other words, can support multiple VMXs. So imagine that scale you now have, and imagine the permutations you can now do. You can have tenants, groups of physical branch sites, and lots of them, be split up into separate VMXs. And you can then also do this across multiple private data centers. So it really does open up scale to thousands of locations, and it introduces Meraki simplicity, 3-click auto VPN, SD-WAN to private cloud environments. We're not done yet. We also introduced optimized cloud security. What we did is, with that same 3-click simplicity of establishing an auto VPN tunnel, we're doing that same thing here. So security is, of course, very important, and something the MX appliance has had on board for a long time, the unified threat management capabilities. Within Cisco, we also have this great business unit called Umbrella, which has best-in-class cloud security, and we've now integrated those two natively, so you can take advantage of supremely simple yet supremely secure security. So all of the things on the right-hand side, you can take advantage of with a combination of the UTM onboard capabilities of MX, as well as the cloud security capabilities of Cisco Umbrella. Very, very easy to implement. From an MX appliance, a physical MX appliance, it's as simple as creating an SD-WAN tunnel to Umbrella data centers. In 3 clicks, you're done. So you now have all those security capability. Great for maximizing productivity for secure direct internet access. Finally, I do also want to just point out some innovations and work that we've been doing on firmware. So MX16 beta, first of all, is now available. You don't need to contact support. Update your lab devices or your devices if you're okay running beta firmware to MX16. Highlights of some of the capabilities that we're introducing with this firmware version. Cisco AnyConnect's been, again, a long requested feature for the MX, and it's finally available with this, and it couldn't come at a better time where the entire world needs it, basically. So you can go ahead and use Cisco AnyConnect to get your remote workers very easily, whether using any OS, whether it's Windows, Mac OS, iOS, very easily get them onto a consistent Cisco AnyConnect to get them online securely. Also introduces SD-WAN over public internet. What you can now do is, previously we established those site-to-site VPN tunnels, which were essentially our SD-WAN tunnels, and we're making intelligent decisions of what path traffic should take. Now we're introducing the public internet into that decision-making process. So if you have a couple of WAN links and you've got public internet available there, if that's the best performing path at that particular point in time, that will be chosen for the SD-WAN policy that you've applied. Finally, SD-WAN over cellular. So we will now, with MX16, you have the ability to utilize cellular uplinks embedded within MX appliances to use those as an additional link to perform SD-WAN over. You have those capabilities with cellular, and speaking of cellular, it's a good segue into next speaker. Shilps is going to take us through updates on the cellular gateway portfolio. Over to you, Shilps.
Thank you, Imran. Hello, everybody. My name is Shilpi, and I'm on the product marketing team looking after our cellular WAN product line. So keeping the excitement on with more updates on new launches, introducing our newest addition. So the newest addition to the Meraki Cellular Gateways product family, MG41. It's specially designed to support bandwidth-intensive applications to deliver higher consistent performance. It will also help minimize dependency on unreliable or unpredictable regional connectivity, as there are dual SIM card slots which can be remotely configured to keep either of the connection active or standby based on performance or data cap. And that's not it. There's a lot more flexibility, as there's one single model that can be deployed worldwide. So it can universally operate anywhere with support for major bands, carrier aggregation, roaming, and private LTE. So earlier, Imran highlighted the enhanced SASE Meraki with new building blocks. And so adding to our new Gigabit MX range, this Gigabit wireless WAN building block rounds up our enhanced secure SD-WAN portfolio. MG41 is also going to be available starting July 6th. Quick highlight, all the MG products are IP67 rated across the board. So as with our Cat6 LTE model MG21, MG41 is also suited for outdoor deployments. So there are two models again this time, one with integrated antenna and MG41E with external antennas. For more details on the specs, you can check out the data sheets that's currently up on Meraki.com. So with these new and existing capabilities that we just talked about, MG kind of enables a broad range of use cases while keeping the user experience as simple as possible through the Meraki platform. So for instance, quickly spinning up branches, new stores, campuses, pharmacies, at any scale, right? Anywhere with primary cellular connectivity, and all of this without having to wait for circuits. So because MG receives cellular signals and can connect to other devices with Ethernet, there is no requirement per se for any change in the infrastructure, which makes it easy to deploy, relocate. So it's ideal for temporary sites as well, whether it's pop-up stores, makeshift hospitals, construction sites, parking lots, or even old buildings where it's kind of challenging to deploy, get good signal or deploy wide connection. So you can pair MG with MX4 24/7 backup connectivity as well. And these are especially critical for use cases where stakes of both lines going down are very high. And lastly, I wanted to talk about how MG is a fit for powering Wi-Fi devices, whether it's from mobile hotspots or powering IoT devices for things like health sensors, inventory tracking sensors, and all of that. And all of this is super easy and like super simple and easy to deploy, manage, and troubleshoot through the Meraki dashboard. And speaking of dashboard, I would love to wrap up by highlighting some of the new dashboard capabilities that will make it even easier to manage the high bandwidth deployments. Previously, we had cellular insight visuals such as signal strength, signal quality, loss, latency, jitter, and all of that was available to be viewed for up to 30 days in the past, which made it very easy to monitor and troubleshoot. And we now also have additional stats and settings like radio status, SIM card configurations, and all of that is very quick and easy within the Meraki dashboard. The resiliency is built into the device, which is great. It's extremely important for business critical operations. Just one click and there's auto switching between SIM cards of two different carriers based on the performance or the data cap. And when we pair MG with Meraki MX, it enables extra resiliency through multi-WAN. So check out all the product details on the website. That's all I have from the seller side today. Passing it over to Sarah Lynn for the updates on smart cameras.
Thank you, Shelby. All right, so we have been pretty busy in the last quarter, so we're going to go through several updates in the next couple of minutes. First, talking about new ways for you to access video to make it even easier. Talk about our new MV2 camera, or I think our most versatile camera ever, and then go into a couple new smart camera analytics and the use cases that those enable. So let's get started. Those of you on this call are probably very, very familiar with the Meraki dashboard, but we've got two new different user interfaces that have been made easier for camera users or video users. So we have three different ways to access cameras depending on your device type that you're accessing it on or your job role. So the dashboard is still going to be what you will use to configure, manage, and administer cameras. The new Vision portal, and we talked briefly about this last quarter, is optimized for non-IT users who need video access to conduct investigations for their job, maybe they're security guards, things like that. And the Vision Portal is optimized for laptops, desktops, and larger mobile devices like tablets. But now for users on the go, we've enhanced the functionality in the Meraki mobile app to make it even easier to do things with cameras. A couple of quick highlights. So we have added the ability to watch live and historical video on the go in the new Meraki mobile app. So I definitely suggest you check that out. One of my favorite new things though is the ability to search for motion events. And that's what you see on the GIF on the screen there on the right. So you can scroll through a specific time period, maybe the last 30 minutes, hour, or even a custom time period. It will pull up motion events with motion recap images that have happened in that time. You can click on that and quickly watch video so that you can stay up to date on what's happening even on the go. And then we've also made it easier to manage some installations on the Meraki mobile app as well. So we have the ability to support wireless onboarding for the new NV2 camera, which will speed the install and deployment time for those wireless deployments. So this is, as I mentioned before, our most versatile camera ever. It's kind of packaging simple and smart into a really, really unique form factor. So the unique design allows for maximum deployment flexibility. You can stand it on a shelf, you can mount it on a wall or a ceiling. It's got that rotating base and adjustable hinge, which is really key for customers that are maybe not as equipped for more complicated installs. So it's easy to get up and running for our small business customers, but it's also really easy to get visibility where you need it, either just to kind of check in and see what's going on, or to get those smart camera analytics. It's USB-C powered, which makes it easy to kind of plug in and get up and running. It's got that Wi-Fi connectivity with the mobile onboarding that we just talked about for the mobile app. Now, one thing of note here, this camera is live video only unless you opt for Cloud Archive. But if you are using live video, maybe for a sensor use case with one of our tech partners, maybe some of the ones that Jordan mentioned earlier in the quarterly, it will have all of those analytics. So everything will be functioning just fine there. And it has the same intelligent search tools as the rest of our cameras. So it's a really, really great option to fit a variety of different use cases. I want to talk about some of the analytics that we have. The first one is audio analytics, and this is going to give you real-time awareness of the non-visual environment. So we've given our cameras the ability to detect alarms and sirens in the area. And a key thing I want to note here is that this does not require turning on audio or recording audio. So even though we are detecting audio, it is very privacy aware. So there shouldn't be any concerns about whether or not we're actually listening in. We're not storing any audio. We're not recording any audio. What we're doing is taking the sound wave and using our camera's intelligence to detect different patterns, again, like sirens and alarms. This will enable you to respond and react faster and use video to validate an event as far as what's happening. So you can use this to integrate in with alarm systems and other things like that. In addition to detecting alarms and sirens, we'll also be looking at general noise levels in decibels in an area. And this is really unique. So this can help you identify maybe suboptimal operating conditions in data centers or things like that that could indicate issues like equipment failure or other safety concerns. It can also be used to determine anomalies. So, hey, why is it really loud all of a sudden? Could also use it to understand how sound kind of travels through your space. This would be really helpful as we go back into the office. If you've got an open environment, hey, where do we need to worry about how to make things a little quieter or a little easier for employees to work? And speaking of going back into the office, the last piece that I want to talk about is our new office occupancy analytics. So this is on our MV32 cameras. We've added the ability to detect desks in addition to the existing capabilities to detect people and understand where they are within space. So this allows us to do a few different things including providing a real-time and historical view of office space occupancy for a building, floor, meeting room, or even desk usage. This will be available in real time as well as historical occupancy data to help you understand how is my space being used? Where do we need to maybe add more desks? When are free and busy times, as well as let employees know, where spaces may be available. Again, as we think about going back to the office, I would have loved this when we were in the office last year at Meraki. I feel like I spent half of my time trying to figure out which meeting rooms were available. And this would have solved that and made it really easy for me to figure out where we can go and get our work done. I just want to talk about one of our customers that actually used this as we were developing it. It's an international logistics company, and they really wanted to figure out which desks are available, track historical usage, determine whether or not they needed more desks, and how best to use the space that they had. So they used the MV32s deployed with this office space occupancy available on InvSense and had a custom dashboard that they had built out from DevNet, and they were able to get real-time live occupancy of desks in meeting room, provide hot desk availability for employees coming into the office for more than 400 desks and offices. And again, that's a nice thing that I would have liked, as I mentioned, as we go back into the office, as well as provide historical usage metrics, which are key for future space planning and utilization. And with that, we are going to stay in the IoT space, but turn it over to Dave to talk about what's new with the MT sensors.
Thanks, Sarah Lynn, and hi everyone. My name is Dave Hoyson. I'm a product marketing manager here, and I am excited to talk about some new and exciting things with the MT sensor portfolio. I'd like to start with a little bit about the Meraki vision of the MT sensors when we first created the product family, and then transition into some new and exciting use cases that we're starting to see in the marketplace, and finally talk about an exciting new sensor that we just launched early this month to help address some of those new use cases that we're seeing. The MT sensor portfolio was launched in October of 2020 with really one primary use case in mind, and that was this idea of protecting business critical infrastructure. All of the IT equipment that is stored inside network closets and server rooms that are running business critical applications. We wanted to provide a sensor solution so that key stakeholders can monitor that environment remotely and keep their businesses up and running. So we have the MT10, the MT12, and the MT20 sensors that are monitoring things like temperature and humidity in the environment to make sure that servers are not starting to overheat. Checking for water that may have leaked into the facility. Maybe there's an old HVAC system that is leaking condensation that could damage the equipment. And then monitoring the door access to make sure that authorized personnel are entering the space, or checking to see if one of these network cabinets has been left open. All three of these sensors, they all connect with our MV smart cameras and our Wi-Fi 6 MR access points to get the data up to the Meraki dashboard, where the devices can be kind of monitored alongside all of the other Meraki equipment, but more importantly, so that key stakeholders can take action the moment an issue occurs in one of these spaces. Since these products have been out for a few months now, we're starting to see some new and exciting use cases develop. So staying inside the network closets and server rooms, or even data centers, we're starting to see customers use the MT sensor data as a way to improve HVAC efficiency. So actually trying to reduce the costs associated with cooling these IT spaces, subsequently helping reduce their overall carbon footprint by reducing the costs associated with their HVAC. Now, the MT sensors are starting to kind of move outside of the network closets and server rooms and really providing this remote visibility into any physical space. So for example, the MT sensor data can be combined with the data from the MV cameras, the MR access points, to really create a holistic smart space where you can analyze usage and occupancy data of various rooms, as Sarah Lynn was just talking about, or automating various business processes. A final use case that we're starting to see emerge is this idea of monitoring cold storage environments. We've had many customers tell us how inadequate refrigeration has led to costly inventory loss and compliance issues within their organizations. So we were actually speaking with a national retail and restaurant brand, and they were telling us that the last time they lost a freezer, they lost about $16,000 worth of product. The compressor on the freezer failed late on a Friday evening. They didn't identify the issue until Monday when they showed back up in the office. And at that point, all of the perishable goods were lost due to spoilage, and it was a waste of about $16,000. We've also talked to other manufacturing customers who they've told us that if their storage environments do not fall within a certain temperature range, then they actually have to throw away an entire batch of product due to compliance issues. So that is why we are excited to announce that we recently launched the MT11 temperature probe sensor earlier this month. The MT11 is designed to address some of these challenges with not having visibility into these refrigerated environments. MT11 comes with two temperature probe options that customers can choose from. One is a bare metal temperature probe, the other is a glycol encased temperature probe. Both of these probes can measure temperature down to -40 degrees Celsius, which is also -40 degrees Fahrenheit, making them perfect for monitoring the refrigerated environments and thus empowering organizations to take action the moment an issue occurs with one of these assets so that they can prevent things like spoilage, inventory loss, and then making sure that they are within compliance with regulatory bodies. So the MT11 is a great addition to the MT sensor portfolio, along with MT10, 12, and 20. All four of these sensors, they all come with a 5-year battery life, that really simplifies deployment. They use Bluetooth Low Energy to connect with the MR access points and the MV cameras, which are the gateways to get the sensor data up to the Meraki dashboard. They can all store and forward 5 days worth of onboard data, just in case there's ever an outage. And then last but not least, and most importantly, all of the Meraki sensors can send proactive alerts via SMS, email, webhook, push notification, so that key stakeholders can be made aware the moment an issue occurs and can take action to prevent downtime, minimize inventory loss, or anything else. And just to wrap it up, the MT sensors, they're really designed to provide that powerful visibility across your business. They integrate with the same Meraki dashboard that the rest of the Meraki products connect with, so they all manage under one single pane of glass. But now it just provides an additional layer of visibility as to what's going on inside these business critical environments. If you would like to learn more about the MT sensor portfolio or more information about the MT11 sensor that we just launched, we are hosting an informative webinar on July 8th called Protect Business Critical Assets with IoT Sensors. The link is shown here on the screen. You can also find it by going to meraki.com/webinars. And with that, I think I'll pass it off to Meredith to give a community update.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with your updates regarding the Meraki community. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you can go to community.meraki.com. You'll get access to peer-to-peer support forums, trainings in our Learning Hub, feature announcements, episodes of the Meraki Unboxed podcast, and more. On the topic of trainings, we're pleased to announce that ECMS 1 is now available on demand. ECMS 1 is our course for Meraki operators interested in introductory level training and really anyone who seeks to gain experience understanding, configuring, and troubleshooting Meraki networking environments with the dashboard. In this class, you'll learn to describe cloud architecture, administration and licensing, understand hardware and features of all product families, and implement best practices for troubleshooting. Historically, the ECMS 1 training was available as a 7-hour instructor-led virtual training. So this new format is a great option for self-paced kind of on-demand access. You can learn more about this at cs.co/ECMS1OD. If there weren't enough reasons to visit the community, between now and July 7th, we are running a contest in which members are asked to update their avatar and share that with the community for a chance to win some Meraki stocks. You can learn more about the contest and rules and eligibility at cs.co/avatar2021. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Meredith, and to everyone else on the call for presenting today. This has been very exciting. Just want to recap for you that obviously we're going to be putting this webinar pretty soon online so that you can have a replay for yourself, and that's definitely going to be on the Meraki webinar webpage, so check that out there. Also, please do take advantage of all the details that you're seeing. Feel free to do share this with anybody else who you think would find this information interesting. So we're going to head into Q&A. So we have some questions that we're going to look at that did come in. And the first one we're going to ask about is the virtual MX and its support for AnyConnect. Imran, can you help us understand a little bit more about the support that we have within AnyConnect for the virtual MX?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. Actually, we had it a couple of times first by Justin, so thank you very much for that question. There are two modes for remote worker access on MX. There's something we've had for a very long time, which we call client VPN, which is essentially an L2TP IPsec tunnel to an MX device. And the VMX supports that. But also, as I talked about, we introduced AnyConnect support. MX physical appliances support that as well as virtual. So if you have a bunch of resources hosted in Azure, AWS, any other public cloud environment, or even a private cloud environment now, you can get access to it through Client VPN or AnyConnect. Great question.
That is a good question. Thanks so much for answering it. Our next question has to do about licensing for adaptive policy, and that would be under sort of the realm of both the MR and MS, the switches and the access point question. And the answer is you have to do a special licensing for that. So thank you so much for the question. Adaptive policy is one of those things within the advanced license that we've designed for the MS390 and also the Wi-Fi 6 series MR access points. And what we're doing with that is allowing more direct connections between those two types of devices. We just designed it within both the firmware updates and also taking advantage of the architecture that we have within our relationship with our parent company, Cisco, to really hone in on those two types of collaborations. And that allows for some very interesting ways of not only being able to set up your authentications, but also to make sure that the communication between those devices works seamlessly. So I want to thank you very much for that question. Our next question is going to be for David, and we got one in the chat here that talks a little bit about the sensors. They wanted to find out about its long-term immersion in saltwater environments. David, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks. So that's a great question. Right now, the temperature probes that we have available at launch for the MT11 are rated for measuring ambient air temperature only. They are not rated for monitoring liquids or being submerged in any other type of liquid.
Okay. As a follow-up, we had some questions about integrating with the dashboard and Meraki Wireless. Can you also deploy an MT sensor within a Cisco wireless infrastructure?
So yeah, another great question. So the MT sensors require a second generation MV camera or one of our Wi-Fi 6 MR access points to connect to the Meraki dashboards. Today, we do not support direct connection to other Cisco wireless products. Now, with that said, we do have APIs that are in a beta stage. If you want to get the data out of the Meraki dashboard and integrate it with other applications, there is ways to do that. But as I mentioned, we do not have direct integration with other Cisco wireless products.
Fantastic. Our next set of questions are going to be for Sarah Lynn. There's a lot of interest in the MV2s. They look good, they perform extremely well, and they've got a lot of interesting features. So let's start off that by asking a little bit about how can you configure them for specific types of sounds? What can you tell us about that, Sarah Lynn?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So I just want to clarify that the audio analytics are available on all of the cameras, not specifically MV2. The detections that we have available for audio analytics are for sirens and alarms. We don't offer any other types of detections. We saw some questions about dog barking and things like that, although that would be fun. So again, it's sirens and alarms only, as well as just general noise levels that are available for audio analytics.
Fantastic. And what about the storage questions here? Supporting RTSP for flexible storage of historical video.
And so RTSP is the real-time streaming protocol. So you could stream the video to something besides the Vision Portal, the mobile app, or the dashboard. So MV2 does support RTSP, so that means you could stream it to be viewed somewhere or stream it to some sort of local storage device. The one caveat on that is that it will not, when you stream the raw video footage, it will just be the raw video footage, so you won't contain any of that motion, metadata, or the analytics that's associated with it while it's within the Meraki ecosystem or the Meraki platform.
We had one last question for the MV2s, and that's talk a little bit about the collaboration between the MVs and the MTs. Are they kind of a gateway for each other? What can you do with them both?
So the MT sensors use either an MR or an MV device as a gateway to connect to the dashboard. They use BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy, to connect. And so all of our second generation AV cameras do support connectivity for the MT sensors. It was not something that's available at launch on MV2, but it is something that will be supported in the very near future.
Perfect. One last thing before we let you guys go. We know that with all the great things we've shared with you today, it's not just the things themselves that make your businesses run better, it's how you use them and how you make your customers happy that counts. And so that's why we're creating these experiences, and experiences are everything. It's all connected. So we've established a free guide for you to download so that you can learn about how to enable those experiences, learn how you can deliver a consistent, connected experience for employees anywhere they work, find out what steps you can take to make a physical place a smart space within Network Insights, discover those tools you need to provide safe environments for everyone with monitoring and analytics. Now, this is a free guide. It's a download, and you can find it at meraki.cisco.com/experiences/experience-guide, as you can see here on the slide. And that's going to do it for us. So we want to thank everyone for joining us. And again, come join us in about a month as we wrap it up one more time with the Meraki Quarterly.